What's going on, guys? Welcome to this table talk about common cardio mistakes. Now, what better person to talk about cardio than somebody who's never done it? Mike is back. All joking aside, he was MIA for 5-ish episodes. We had to pay these people an outrageous amount of money to come on here to substitute for him at his zero wage that I pay him.
Well, it took you long enough. I mean, these people held me hostage. You wouldn't even pay them off, dude. I mean, I told you I was going to Youngstown.
Yeah.
You did nothing.
I don't know, man.
In fact, you called them and you said, just make them do cardio. And it was horrible, man.
So what did you end up doing? Jumping rope? Stairs?
I ended up having to bury their bodies that they had me bury. Like a bunch of nasty log work I had to do, man. I had to do body carries for 60 yards.
So were you
dig a hole?
So were you the person in John Wick, they come and clean up the mess?
Yeah, I had the gloves on and everything. And it was hot outside, dude. I was fully clothed.
Did they make you wear a suit?
Underneath all that, there was a suit. There was a trash bag, and they're like, "You're gonna sweat, dude." And I'm like, "Okay, all right." So this is a perfect segue into why you shouldn't do cardio.
All right, so sort of going along those lines, but not really at all. Just kidding. So common cardio mistakes. I think one thing that a lot of people do mistake cardio for is being able to outwork a bad diet or punishing themselves after they eat bad. So I've heard from my clients, and like I said, I think we've all kind of been there. You eat that pizza, that dessert, whatever it may be, over the weekend or during the week, and you're like, well, screw lifting weights. I just feel like crap, so I'm gonna go run on the treadmill for an hour, do the Stairmaster for an hour, bring the trash bag in a fully close to whatever it is to do that. I guess you've been in and out of several gyms, obviously, you talked about your powerlifting experience and everything, and I guess from a powerlifting perspective, did you ever think that cardio could benefit you? Or I guess
to help my powerlifting? No, but I knew that it was necessary to just keep my heart healthy.
Okay.
And I need my heart healthy to be a powerlifter, so there's that.
Okay. So what, I guess outside of me, you've never really had a coach outside of potentially high school and stuff, but what, I guess what did they tell you? What did you do? Did you do anything on your own? I know you said you did calisthenics for a while, which I'm sure they remember that episode.
Yeah. What time period are you referring to?
Just any time. I guess what have you been told as to what are the positives of cardio? What are the negatives?
Negatives are that you just might be bored out of your mind for 20 to 45 minutes. That's always good. The gains are very not there. I heard it can be bad on your joints, if you're running. But of course, there are options elliptical, swimming, any sort of plyo work maybe, or calisthenic work. Just high reps with push-ups, pull-ups, burpees, things like that. But I haven't heard much bad. I think you can overdo it, just so you can overdo actual lifts. You can overdo cardio, and that would affect your lifts because you're just so dang tired, or you're just directing all your energy into cardio, and your main lifts are I forgot about me. What the heck?
They're suffering.
Yeah.
So I would agree with the vast majority of that to an extent, and I just want to kind of clear some of that up. So you had mentioned, what was the first thing that you said? I know that you had said it's hard on your joints, it's good on your heart, it's gonna affect your main lifts and stuff like that. What was the thing that you said before that?
I don't know, I said a lot. I just kind of was what?
Okay, it's okay. Let's just shoot from the top. So I'll go in reverse order. So impact on your joints, yes. Running is very, very impactful on your joints. So when you run, studies have shown anywhere from 10 to 15 times your body weight running and impacting everything. So if you ever talk to a runner who's been long distance for many, many years, typically knees are pretty worn down, just cartilage and meniscus and stuff like that is pretty banged up, but more importantly, your spine. Disc issues galore, whether it's in the lower back, mid back, or even in the neck. mean, if you got to think, if you're thinking about running and your strides, right? Like think of it as like a spring. The very top of that spring is your neck, right? So that top part of your neck is just going to take an absolute beating from everything. Jumping is 10 times the amount of force. So however much you weigh, so if you weigh 100 pounds and you're running, it's 10 to 15 times the amount of force. So that's up to 1,000 to 1,500 pounds, right, of pressure on those knees and going like literally like just going right through your spine. If you're jumping, it's 10.
Wow.
So think about that. You know what I mean? Like that's insane. So like when you think about like the risk versus reward, you talked about even being able to lift. If you're beating your joints up like that, like are you going to be able to lift long term? Maybe, maybe not. Or the variation of lift is going to have to change. Like you might not even be able to use a barbell anymore, which isn't always necessary in some populations. Cardio in terms of, you said like, would it affect your, like it could hurt your powerlifting, it could help your heart, but you need a healthy heart to powerlift. So one thing that he kind of touched on like in a very, very vague way is when you powerlifting, bodybuilding, just working out, weekend warrior, whatever you are, when you are training, cardio is going to help your rest periods in between. So like how the stereotypical joke is like the powerlifter over there that like goes for like 1 rep maxes and rests like 10 to 15 minutes like in between sets. That's where like, you know, you can kind of break that stereotype down and, you know, take like a 45-second to a minute rest. Again, not all your energy stores are going to be necessarily refueled, but the better you, not the better you are at cardio, but the better your lung capacity and stuff like that, the better your recovery is in between sets. Think about it. So when you get under a heavy bar, you're deadlifting, squatting, or benching, your heart rate goes through the roof, right? For the next like probably minute or so, 2 minutes, your heart's like pounding. If you are good cardiovascularly, your heart rate's gonna come down faster. You're gonna be more efficient to recover. You're gonna feel like you're gonna be able to go again, right? So that's kind of the benefit there. And then when it comes to diet, obviously this is a constant common misconception that I kind of mentioned at the very, very beginning. You see a lot of people at your big commercial gyms doing it, not so much here because I don't have a lot of cardio equipment. I kind of did it on purpose. You know, you see the people that are just running on the treadmill, right? So how many of those people do you think, because I remember talking to plenty of them, like as a trainer, how many of those people do you genuinely think they think that is more beneficial to them than lifting weights? Not even like just powerlifting, just lifting weights in general.
I would say that when you go to somewhere like Planet Fitness, not saying that Planet Fitness is like a bad thing. Everyone's got their place. I've been there before.
Yeah.
You know, it's all right. I was in a very maintenance time of my life with my finances. I was broke. Anyway, so you know, if you go there or somewhere where people aren't as informed as other places, most of those people are just going there to do their cardio for 45 minutes each day and they're going to get out. Who knows what they're eating? And they may never touch a weight.
What is it? Pizza Mondays, donut Tuesdays, and something else Thursday?
Bagel Thursday, something like that. Dude,
Empty calories.
bagels. Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't even know where they get them from. Anyway. So like, yeah, so those, and there's something, I'm not like dissing on those people. It's just, they may think that cardio's all they need, or that they just need to kind of dabble in the weights. When really it might be the other way around. Where I suppose if you're trying to be like a cross country runner, yeah, okay, sure, you know, you probably get to run a lot.
Yeah.
If you're just trying to be like an average adult who's just healthy, wants to live to 85 plus, you're probably going to be doing, I don't know, what, 75% weights, 25% cardio as a healthy?
Depending on the person, I mean, like that's kind of a rough thing to say, just because like I don't know body type, I don't know overweight, underweight.
Yeah.
The one thing is though too, and a lot of people, and you kind of touched on this a little bit. So if you're doing a ton of cardio, you're running on the treadmill like a gerbil or something like that to that nature. You're burning a ton of calories, yeah, sure, but you're also burning muscle mass. In the big scheme of things, when you really think about it, you want to think about the muscle that you have in your body as like a car engine, right? So what burns more gas, Ferrari or a Honda Accord?
Ferrari.
There you go. So I'm not saying you got to necessarily look like a bodybuilder, but the more muscle mass you have, the more fat you are going to burn, the more calories you are going to burn. So example, somebody who's 100 pounds maybe burns, I'm making it up, 1,200 calories as a BMR, basal metabolic rate. That's how many calories you burn just you blinking your eyes. Not doing anything else, that's how many calories you burn blinking your eyes. Somebody who is 200 pounds They look similar, by the way. That same person that is 200 pounds probably burns at least double that. But because of all that muscle mass, does that make sense?
Yeah.
So aesthetically, not that you necessarily have to be 6% body fat year round, or you have to do X, Y, or Z, and not that you necessarily have to lift a truck. The more muscle mass you have, the bigger that car engine, and the more efficient you're gonna be, the more you're gonna burn, okay? So you doing cardio as punishment, which we kind of talked about here in the beginning, your, like, example, like, we watched a YouTube video recently on Steve Cook ate 10,000 calories in one of those challenges, and then literally the most I think he burned was like 7,000 the next day. He worked out all day, and he was physically exhausted, and he was completely out of it. So my point to you is, you know, if you can eat 1,000 calories in like a 30-minute period, right? How long is it going to take you to burn that off? I'll give you a quick example. So, you know those assault bikes?
Yeah.
Like the things those things suck, by the way. So like if you've never tried them, give them a go. Like they will get your heart like getting ready to like explode. But on a serious level, so what I would do is I would have my clients do like some HIIT stuff at the very, very end of the workout. They're limited on time, so like we only have so much time. Like they're not gonna walk on the treadmill for an hour at the end of the day. So getting a 5 to 15 minute, if not 20 minute cardio workout at the very end of their strength training session is what we had to do. So I had him go for a calorie goal. And so at first, like the first week it was 50 for X amount of times, then the next week it was 100, then it was 150, etc. The amount of time it took him to burn 100 calories on that assault bike was literally mind-blowing. So I told him, I said, because he was like, that was like the longest it took, like I swear I burned more than 100 calories. I was like, yeah, it makes you think about the next time you're getting a Snickers bar, right? And he's like, dude, I don't even want candy anymore, screw this, like, you know? So, you know, you kind of have like that recognition, I guess, of, wow, I eat these calories and yet like I just killed myself for X amount of time and I only burned this. You know, that's where you kind of have to be realistic about that, and that's kind of where the engine metaphor kind of comes in. Another thing when it comes to cardio, and I want to know your thoughts on this, is timing of cardio. Before a session, during the session, after the session, what's your thoughts?
Always after.
Why do you think? What do you think?
So in general, my first thought is you always start with what's going to take the most amount of muscle or the most amount of exertion. So like for instance, if you're going to be coming in here and you're going to do like a leg session.
Yep. You're squatting.
Yeah, let's say 15 to 30 minutes of squats, 15 to 30 minutes of some auxiliary stuff, and then you can do like 15 to 30 minutes of cardio. So you're here for an hour and a half. That squat workout is going to take way more exertion than the cardio. Just like the squats can take more exertion than the hamstring curls or the calf raises. So you want to work your way down to what's hardest and the most exertion based to the least.
Okay.
That's what
Yeah. So you're not necessarily wrong. So the thing that I want to just add a little bit of science to it. So what he's talking about is energy systems. So there's several different energy systems. I'm not going to get into them here. Not the goal of this table talk, but those different energy systems do different things, right? So the main one that is like your last end-all be-all is the Krebs cycle. Nobody knows what happens when the Krebs cycle runs out because like nobody's ever done it before. You know what I mean? Like when it runs out, like if it ever can, you have nothing left. So nobody's obviously made it to that point outside of the people that have died, but like I said, we still don't know. But you know what I mean? Like I'm not saying dying or be exercise, I'm just saying pass away. Like the Krebs cycle's no longer working because their body shut down. But what I'm saying is that, you know, the other energy systems are used for, you know, maximal lifting, endurance style training, or even like hypertrophy style training, whatever you guys want. And it kind of goes in order of operations, you know. Once you exhaust this one, then you go on to the next one, and so on and so forth. And once you're out of the first several, it's on to the Krebs cycle, and then that's it, right? So to your point, cardio afterwards is the most effective, and or if not an entirely separate session. So you have to think about your schedule. If you are somebody like Mike who works an 8 to 5 or a 9 to 5 type job, you know, Mike can only get in here so early and still like have a home life and do the things he wants to do. So he rolls in about like between 6 and 6:30. He trains until 7:45, and then he's got to get in the shower, get ready for work, and go. And he's done for the day. He's not going to come back after 5 to do cardio and stuff like that. He's going to get that in either throughout his session and or at the very end. Like what I've been making him do the last like week and a half. He's been doing lunges and he absolutely despises me, but that's a different story. But no, seriously, when you are doing your cardio, picking the timing of that is super important. So I'm a big fan of just doing it after the weight session, just because I understand that it's realistic for that to occur, and or just keeping your heart rate throughout. Like, though I hate to admit it, Orange Theory, that was designed by some of the top fitness professionals to come up with that model. You know, you stay in the orange zone and like you keep your heart rate high. Now, I'm not saying that it's beneficial for everybody all the time, but keeping your heart rate up throughout your session is going to help you burn more calories. It's period. You can look at a heart rate monitor, Apple Watch, like whatever you want to do. It's all going to kind of equal out the same. The reliability of those things is going to vary just based on how accurate the heart rate tracking and stuff is, and if they know like what the actual exercise is. Do you have anything on that?
No, I think it's accurate.
Okay.
Yeah.
The next thing, and just because I mentioned it here, I mentioned like the lunging with Mike, like all jokes aside. This is something I actually got from Corey Gregory out in Pataskala, Ohio, Granville. Great guy, never met him. Just a lot of people that I know him and vice versa. So anyway, Corey did like squat every day for a little while. His strength went through the roof. Then he started doing lunge every day and like the lunge and learn, the whole type deal. That is a great way, and I've got a lot of questions on this, is why I'm talking about it, to do cardio, okay? Doing lunges for time, doing it for distance, whatever it may be, is awesome. Why? Super low impact on your joints in relation to running. Remember, 10 to 15 times the amount of force. 2, you're actually building muscle mass and helping your joints become more stable while you do it. Okay, so there's kind of a method of the madness there. On top of it too, what did I say? The more muscle you have, the bigger the car engine, the more fat you're gonna burn. Well, guess what? If you are working the largest muscle group in your body, aka your legs, for 10, 20 minutes, 400 meters, 800 meters, a mile, if you did the BS that I did last week, thank you, Ben, shout out to you, then you know what I mean, that's going to help you burn more calories. On top of it, like the hormone release and all that stuff, which again, I'm not getting into, that's not the point of this, but pick something that you can do that is super low impact, that you can do for as long as what you need to. What is going to be beneficial to your goals? Is it lunging for time? Like, is your lunge form even good? Like, are you doing what's proper so then you're not going to hurt yourself worse? Is it the Versa Climber? The Versa Climber is super low impact. It's going to definitely get your heart rate up, and it's highly effective. You can do 10 minutes on that thing, and you've probably burned 200 or 300 calories. Another thing too, and I kind of talked about this in one of my Instagram posts, and I've mentioned it a couple times here, is calories, right? So if you can't outwork a bad diet, we talked about that, but on top of it, don't always focus on just calorie burn. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people, some people that I've trained in the past have been like, oh, I got to burn 500 calories in a workout. I got to burn 500 calories in a workout. I'm like, well, what is that 500 realistically doing for you? And it was just a magic number in their head that they could do that and still eat whatever they wanted. And there were some weeks they were up in weight, other weeks they were down in weight. I'm like, well, that's the fluctuation of what you're eating, right? So if ultimately you focus on the things that I talked about, aka building a bigger car engine, making it more fuel efficient and everything else, then over time, that's what's going to help you burn more fat. And cardio is not necessarily going to, I'm not going to say not necessary, but the types that you are doing and the frequency of what you are doing it isn't necessarily going to matter that much. So nutrition is king, strength training, and just picking what's going to work best for you. Timing. Don't do it before a warm-up like what we do, like how it's like 10 to 15 minutes, you get your heart rate up, you get a good sweat going. That's awesome. If it's a 10-minute walk on the treadmill, great. You're not going to kill your squat if you're walking for 10 minutes on the treadmill. And if you do, then you got bigger issues, right? So that is today. Do you have anything to add? I know I've been rambling a lot.
Just make sure when you do your cardio, you do it on blacktop on a 90-degree day. Yeah, it'll take a 30-minute session down to 25. Trust me, I know the math behind these for saving time on this cardio.
Yeah, it was the lunges he saw me doing and the body drugs he was doing back in Youngstown. We're not in New Albany, Ohio, Youngstown mob. We're not here.
No, you never saw us.
Yeah, you never saw us. Mike does not exist. Until next time, guys, thank you so much. Please like, subscribe, turn on the post notifications, and let us know what you guys think. And like I said, let us know what you want to see next. Mike's always got the good subjects.